People in China, whether they're in the government or in the private sector, will tell you privately they are really worried about the country's direction and its future.
This industry might be the last hope for China. The world's second largest economy is having money problems too. Starting from the zero-COVID policy, China is choking on geopolitics. Now, this industry is the only hope left for China? That sounds full of promises, right? Well, let's see what is left on the table for China. The world's captain, China has been struggling for quite a long time now. The consequences of such an economic and political setback have been evident in all industries in China. From EVs to electronics, all the micro and macro enterprises are trying hard to find their pace in the industry. But guess what? The youth unemployment rate, which covers the age category from 16 to 24, hit a record of 23.1% in June 2023. Even though those digits are coming down slowly, China still needs an overall boost. To add to this fire, on February 29, 2024, the Shenyang factory of Bridgestone, a Japanese electronics company, closed permanently after this foreign-funded company withdrew from the Chinese market. This resulted in another 1,200 people losing their jobs in China. Out of 9 million people, 6 million are still looking for jobs, reported the Chinese media. Chinese local government officials made some requests to the bankers, saying that they wanted their debt payments to be renegotiated and their loans to be restructured and refinanced. These scattered incidents point toward China's declining economy. So, is China really bleeding? China is literally fighting for breath. The exponential decrease in the export-import ratio is pointing towards such a struggle. Imports and exports are decreasing in China like nothing else. There has been a decline of 24% in exports to the US and 21% in exports to Europe, especially the continent countries. The decline in imports is 7.5%. Even the service sector in China faces stagnation in 2022 due to the policies of the Chinese Communist Party. The policies were aimed at controlling private firms in China and reducing their uncontrolled growth over the public sector. Due to this, companies like Alibaba, which was once said to be the face of China, are not hiring people at the pace they used to. This authoritarian approach of the government does contribute to youth unemployment to a large extent. Since very early times, most of Chinese wealth has been contributed by real estate. The housing sector has grown immensely in the past 2 decades, but post-COVID, China's zero-COVID policy has led to a decline in real estate investment from 9.5% in 2019 to 8.4% in 2022. Even the EV market in China, which was said to be a global power, is experiencing stagnation. Even the global powers in the EV market like BYD, Tesla, etc. are trying hard to keep up with the dynamic landscape of China's EV market. The big and small car makers are trying all the ways out to bring back the EV market to its full power. But what stops such a recoup in China? China should blame the Chinese Communist Party and its lockdown measures for the ongoing crisis in China. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit the world in 2020, China was the face of the media due to the allegations that it faced regarding the origin of such a virus. To save itself from COVID and to regain its pride in global platforms, China was forced to impose strict measures on its people. The ongoing economic setback is the after effect of stringent lockdown measures during the COVID-19 pandemic, which were imposed for more than a year in many places. After the pandemic, a significant number of positions were eliminated in the technology sector. Even the people's confidence is at the edge since they realize that the post-COVID recovery is not easy. Amid this crisis, one industry is still flourishing in China. Even though the heart of China is shedding blood, this industry is taking its business forward. And guess which is that industry? It's the military industry, the ace of spades of China right now. Backed by the Chinese Communist Party and the ongoing Russian to Ukraine war, China's military industry is flourishing like nothing else. China, the world's second largest arms dealer, saw its total arms revenue increase by 2.7% in 2022 amid the COVID crisis. As a result of Russia's intense invasion of Ukraine, China has increased its exports of advanced machine tools to Russia by 10 times since 2022. Chinese manufacturers exported $68 million worth of CNC machines tools in July 2022 when Moscow invaded Ukraine. They are even producing Western weapons and equipment. According to the reports from China, the military supply factories located in central China produce weapons, batteries for submarines and aircraft carriers, and air-to-air missiles. The Chinese military industry has become one of the most job-producing industries in China now. These businesses make good money, and employees are compensated well. When compared to the automotive industry, especially the electric vehicle market, there is much difference. The production lines that had been producing cars 24 hours a day were clearly different after the pandemic. The original 2 production lines became 1, and production time dropped significantly. However, when it comes to the production of weapons, it has witnessed exponential growth. But who are the potential buyers of these weapons? Well, there are 2 answers to this question. One is that the buyer is China's ally, whereas the other is a potential rival in global politics. The images from the military industries suggest that the weapons produced in the Chinese industries have the specifications of Chinese-Russian systems. A Nickel Asia report between December 22 and April 23 states that Russian companies have imported at least 37 Chinese-made drones, valued at about $13,000. Yes, a whopping $13,000. Another surprising statistic associated with the Russian-Ukraine conflict is that Russian companies have paid $1.2 million to Chinese companies to purchase 22 detection and interference drones and another $36,000 to purchase 10 reinforced portable personnel computers. Some weapons also have NATO and US specifications. It is unlikely that weapons with Western specifications will be supplied to Russia or the CCP military unless they are for special purposes under some political agenda. An example of this is the M16 rifle. These rifles won't be used in Russia since Western bullets are 5.56mm, while Russian bullets are 5.4mm. It indicates the large shares the company may have in the market and its capability to produce them. Even if China is planning to attack Taiwan, these weapons are of no use. Therefore, it is pretty clear that there is a supply chain flowing from China to the West. There are speculations that the private company is attempting to secure a supply chain for the Ukrainian battlefield with the help of Turkey. If Turkey places the order through intermediaries to the private Chinese companies, since Turkey follows NATO specifications, the weapons can be used after being delivered to Ukraine. Through this route, China gains profit from private enterprises. Even though the speculation about such private hands is immense, the hands of the 208 Research Institute of China, the 208 Institute is affiliated with the China Ordnance Equipment Group Company Limited. It is China's only research and design unit for light weapons, specializing in the development of light weapons and equipment for the Chinese military. The reports coming from China say that they produce lightweight weapons and air-to-air missiles as per orders from the military and others. Even during this crisis, these research institutes are at their peak of production. That fact is explicit from their move to build a new factory, and even the air-to-missiles faction is building a smart office that will cost hundreds of millions. Now, what is China's way forward? Even though the nation is still choking in the economic crisis, China is framing strategies for further development of its military. In the 2023 U.S. report on China's military capabilities, China's long-term goal is to establish a completely self-sufficient national defense industry and integrate it with technology sectors to meet the military's needs. The military reform from 2017 to 2027 suggested by the Chinese government is also aligned with the overall development of the military industry. The increased investment in naval equipment, including ships, electronic equipment, and integrated air and sea components for carrier-based aircraft, is a major step towards this round of development. It is pretty clear that the CCP government of China is planning to emphasize struggles and external security threats in the coming years, rather than addressing internal issues like economic distress and unemployment, which is explicitly expressed in the defense budget of China in 2023. But the consequences of such a surge in the defense budget can include an increase in corruption, which cannot be ignored. The military industry and the revenue that flows to China via this industry need to be acknowledged, but at the same time, the government should take necessary steps to boost other industries as well. Grabbing the supremacy of the Chinese market from private hands won't help the Chinese government in the long run. Do you think it's high time China acted effectively and made itself a better place for its citizens? Do comment on your thoughts. That's all for today. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more news that sprouts around. Until we meet again.